Chris Lonsdale, who is a psychologist and linguist, said anyone can learn a language in 6 months with 5 principles. Then here's a question. So how can adults learn a language quickly, easily, and effectively? Well, we will look into them in this video, right? Hello again, everyone. This is me, Chinatsu. This video is inspired by a video called How to Learn Any Language in 6 Months by Chris Lonsdale on TEDx Talk. Of course, I'm going to tell you those 5 principles. I'm going to break it down for you guys. I wanted to make them easy for you guys to understand. Basically, today's video is going to be a discussion about what I have learned from that video, my own experiences, and some insights that I have to offer to you guys. Personally, thanks to that video, I reflected on language learning once again, realizing how fascinating and interesting it can be to learn languages. I hope you guys relate to it to some extent, and especially I know that you guys are so keen on improving your language skills, so especially if you want to be able to speak English, stay tuned until the end of this video. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, please let me know, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you're more than welcome to as well. Alright, let's get right into it. First of all, Chris talked about some misconceptions when it comes to mastering a language. Some people say there is talent, there is immersion issue. When it comes to talent, actually, I cannot. I used to play the piano. I practiced a lot actually because I wanted to be a piano teacher. I went to the class, lesson, after school piano class for like 8 or 9 years in total. I loved playing the piano and I loved music, but as I practice it more, I just realized that I'm not the best person for playing the piano, so I decided to give up on it. Probably it applies to language as well. Some people are very communicative and some people are good at, some brain part is developing or whatever. So personally, I don't know about you guys, but I believe that there should be some talent related to improving a language skill. However, this is important. The most important thing is actually if you stick to it or not, because some people say like, you know what, I'm not good at learning a language, so I'm not gonna keep doing it. So they just give up. They just put a label on themselves like, I cannot speak English. So basically, for me, it looks like they are using it as an excuse not to study. When things get rough, they just give up. I sound a bit salty, spicy here, I'm aware of that, but I think the most important thing is, of course, talent might relate to it, but the most important thing is actually your goal. Even though there might be some struggles in front of you, because you want to achieve your goal, you can stick to it, you can keep moving forward. That's what I believe. I don't know about you guys. The next one is immersion. So you have to live in an English speaking country to be fluent in English. Well, I talked about this in some of my videos though, because from my own experience, I know that living in an English speaking country, it doesn't do much. I have to put myself out there and practice speaking English. I can actually choose not to speak English living in Australia. The most important thing is what you do in that environment, I believe. That was my personal opinion for those 2 misconceptions. Sorry, it was more like a part of intro. Let's get right into 5 principles. I'm gonna tell you those principles and I'm gonna add my personal stories and insights. Principle 1, focus on language content that is relevant to you. It sounds familiar, right? For example, in extreme situations like life or death kind of situations, our senses go beyond our expectations, right? We can memorize information more effectively, like much more effectively. Similarly, information that is personally meaningful or beneficial to you, I think it's easier to memorize, right? Let's say you want to do a working holiday in Australia, and then when I start talking about some sketchy memories in Australia, I don't think I failed to catch your attention. You cannot stop hearing my story. 100% you're gonna memorize it because you don't want to be in a sketchy same situation in the future. You need to use the materials which are relevant to your interests or what you care about in life. If you like cooking, I think you should watch cooking shows in English. It's gonna be enjoyable, but most importantly, it's gonna be more effective. Principle Principle 2, use your new language as a tool to communicate from day one. I would say I want to emphasize this principle the most in this video. When I was younger, obviously I was not fluent in English. I was sort of insecure about my language skill. What I used to do was, if I was not comfortable with my language skill, I bought another textbook. And I was like, you know what? I think if I finish this textbook, I think my speaking is gonna be better. And so I waited for a couple of months. I asked myself, hey, did my speaking improve? Not really. I think many people are actually in the same situation. People say, oh, I can't speak English. Oh, my speaking is terrible. I can't understand English. And what they do is just only input. So they postpone the opportunity of actually using English in real life. I want to ask you a question. When do you think you can speak English? Is it going to be the time that you finish your textbook that you currently have? I don't think so. This is something I kept telling you guys in my YouTube channel though. If you learn something, use it as soon as possible. It doesn't matter if your level is intermediate or beginner, it doesn't matter. Once you learn something, use it immediately. I think that's the key. So important. Principle 3. When you first understand the message, you will acquire the language unconsciously. First, actually, I didn't understand it straight away, but now I know what he was talking about. Do you remember one time in one video, I told you guys this expression, fair enough, is so handy. When I moved here for the first time, I heard Aussies saying that expression so many times, like fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. But it's funny because nobody taught me that expression in Japan. Obviously, I didn't know what they meant. For me, it sounded like fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. What is fair enough, right? One time, my friend said, oh, fair enough. And then I just realized that, oh, it sounded kind of affirmative. I think she agreed to what I have said. People use that expression mostly at the end of the conversation. And I was like, probably it means something similar to I see or okay or I understand. I didn't learn it in a textbook, but I kind of could understand what they meant. I didn't even know if they were made of two words like fair enough. We often understand words in communication. So even if you don't know whether a word is a verb or adjective or like countable, non-countable or whatever, once you understand the message, it becomes part of your understanding. Principle 4 is language learning is physical training. It implies that learning a language involves like physical action. For example, there is the IPA symbol system, which we Japanese learn a lot in school. I'm not saying that they are useless or anything, but I think some people are like, the sounds means like this, oh, the symbol means like this and that, so your tongue is meant to be like here and that. They know how to make the sound, more like they know techie side, but in real life, they don't know how to do it. They cannot do it actually. There's a difference between knowing and being able to do, right? I think especially among Japanese learners, there is a tendency to think like, let's learn first and let's practice a bit later. But as Chris says in that video, language learning is not about accumulating lots of knowledge. I repeat, language learning, it's not about accumulating lots of knowledge. Isn't it true, ladies? I don't know, this might come from the culture, like we judge English based on numbers or scores and something like that, so we tend to go more like techie side, like a knowledge thing, you know? I think input is important, but what we actually want to do is we want to speak and we want to listen using our ears. We want to feel English with our own skin. I think it's so important, and sometimes we kind of forget about that fact. The last principle is physio and psychological state matters, which resonate with me a lot. As you can see, I'm speaking English to the camera like this now. I tell you, speaking to the camera is not that easy. I get so nervous, especially I've got this beautiful microphone in front of me. It's gonna catch every single sound, right? So I get nervous. I would say when I get nervous, English does not come out from my mouth that easily. I stumble on some words a lot, and I reshoot videos at least 5 times each time. But when I'm talking to my partner, when I'm talking to my friends, I don't get this nervous, so speaking English feels much easier. I think you guys have the same experiences as well. So especially speaking a second language, it requires a lot of energy and attention as well. I think you have to feel safe and relaxed first, and then words will come out naturally from your mouth. When you're nervous, you cannot speak English naturally. It's completely fine. Piece of advice from me is if you practice more, it's gonna get easier. Only gets easier. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, comments, don't be shy, leave it down below there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you're more than welcome to as well. Alright, see you in the next video, guys.